Think about the last time you wanted someone, really wanted them. You messaged first, you made yourself available, you softened your edges, monitored your tone, calibrated everything you said to keep them close. And the more you did that, the further away they moved. Then something changed. You got tired or hurt, or you just stopped, and they came back. You didn't understand it at the time. You probably still don't fully. You called it luck or timing or the vague consolation that people always want what they can't have, as though that explains anything. It doesn't explain anything, because this isn't about games. It isn't manipulation. It isn't strategy. What happened when you stopped trying is a precise neurological event, one that involves dopamine, the attachment system, and a psychological mechanism so fundamental it predates language. And the reason it keeps catching you off guard is because the conventional explanation gets it exactly backwards. We assume investment signals value, that the more effort you put toward another person, the more they'll recognize how much you care and mirror it back. That love is a ledger. What you put in determines what you get out. The brain does not work like a ledger. What relentless investment actually signals past a certain threshold is fear, and fear is the least attractive signal in the human neurological repertoire, not because people are cruel, because the nervous system is designed to evaluate threat. When someone is chasing you, a question forms in the brain before conscious thought has even arrived. Not, do they care about me, but why do they need me this much? So why does trying harder, loving more visibly, reaching more consistently, produce the opposite of what it's designed to do? The answer is in the brain, and it's darker than you think. In 1966, social psychologist Jack Brehm at Duke University published Psychological Reactance Theory. To test it, his team gave participants access to a set of options, then restricted one. Not removed, simply made less available. Desire for the restricted option increased immediately and significantly, regardless of whether participants had wanted it before. The mechanism held across consumer choices, social preferences, and personal freedoms. The moment autonomy is threatened, the threatened thing becomes more valuable. Apply that to pursuit. When someone is constantly available, constantly reaching, constantly signaling they have already decided, they remove the element of choice from the other person. There is no uncertainty, no gap, no room for desire to form. The brain doesn't experience wanting, it experiences obligation, and obligation to the nervous system feels like enclosure, something to move away from. But desire lives in uncertainty. In the 1990s, neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz at Cambridge began mapping reward prediction error, the mechanism through which the dopamine system evaluates reward. His finding was precise. Dopamine spikes are not triggered by receiving a reward. They're triggered by the anticipation of an uncertain one. When a reward became 100% predictable in Schultz's experiments, the dopamine response dropped. Certainty killed the signal. Here is where it gets darker. B.F. Skinner's research on variable ratio reinforcement, the schedule that produces the most compulsive, persistent behavior of any reward structure, showed that subjects responded at rates 3 to 4 times higher when rewards were unpredictable than when they were consistent. And when the reward stopped entirely, the behavior persisted far longer. The brain keeps pulling the lever long after the reward is gone. You know this feeling. You felt it towards someone, and they felt it the moment you stopped. Mary Ainsworth's strange situation experiments, conducted at Johns Hopkins in 1969, produced a finding that attachment researchers have spent 50 years unpacking. When the attachment system is threatened, when a caregiver becomes inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, or unpredictable, some children respond by amplifying their attachment signals, crying louder, reaching harder, refusing to be soothed even when the caregiver returns. Ainsworth called this anxious attachment. Picture it in present tense. You're 4 years old. Your mother walks back into the room, but you don't settle. You cling harder than before she left, not because she's still gone, but because somewhere in your nervous system, you've already learned that her return cannot be trusted to last. So the attachment system stays activated. It keeps signaling. It pursues. That child's logic is still running in you. The adult who can't stop texting, who reads threat into every pause, who calibrates themselves into knots trying to hold someone close. They are not weak. They are running a program that made complete sense in the environment where it was built. A caregiver who was sometimes warm, sometimes absent. A love that felt conditional on performance. An early wordless lesson. If you stop trying, they disappear. And here is what that that program does to every relationship that follows. It activates the withdrawal it was designed to prevent. An anxiously activated nervous system reads as need. High-intensity need triggers the avoidant partner's own childhood instruction. Closeness is dangerous. Step back. Two nervous systems, two sets of early programming, pulling in different directions. Here's what actually happened. Your brain built a map of love before you could speak. That map became your nervous system's template for intimacy, and every relationship since has been your brain trying to resolve the original map with whoever is standing in front of you now. Here's what nobody tells you about the moment you finally stopped trying. It wasn't strategy. You didn't decide to play a game. You stopped because you were exhausted, because something in you ran out of the energy it takes to hold someone's attention against their instincts. And in that exhaustion, something shifted. You became, for the first time, a person with edges again. Not cold, not distant, but present in yourself rather than in them. The constant monitoring stopped. The calibration stopped. The low-level terror that you might say the wrong thing and lose them, that stopped too. And what remained looked from the outside like self-possession, like someone who could not be possessed. That is the signal the nervous system actually responds to. Not performance, not pursuit. The authentic absence of desperate need, which for most people only arrives when the need has finally exhausted itself. John Bowlby described the attachment system as a biological drive as urgent as hunger. You cannot reason your way out of it while it's activated. You can only wait for it to exhaust itself. And the tragedy is that the exhaustion, the thing you experienced as defeat, was the first moment you were ever fully yourself in that relationship. The uncomfortable truth underneath all of this is not that games work. It's that you were never supposed to need someone that much. And the reason you did is older than this relationship. It goes back to the first person you ever needed, who was sometimes there and sometimes not, who taught your nervous system that love required constant maintenance or it would leave. You didn't stop trying because you became confident. You became confident because you stopped trying. Your nervous system is still loyal to people who are no longer in the room. And until you see that, it always will be.